It is confusing out there. I mean, I've been married now for almost 11 years, and things have even changed over the last decade pretty significantly. So I'd like to share with you some of the key questions that I'm frequently asked in my role as a coach for single women. And I would love to get your perspective, both as a professional in this industry and as a man. Would that be all right?
That sounds great.
Okay. So one of the first things that I would like to ask you is if you could just give a few general guidelines that you might give to women that are out, single women that are out there in the dating process. Just a few general guidelines. We'll start there and then go deeper with some of these on some of the key ways that, or things that they need to understand to be able to better date, relate, mate, understand, and communicate with men. There's a lot there, but take it where you'd like to.
Right. Well, I'll start with some basic ideas. I don't want to, there's no simple answer to this. Okay. It's like if you're going to land a capsule on the moon, there's a lot of things have to happen. All right. So I've written whole books on this. Mars, Venus on a Date, for example, Beyond Mars and Venus. These are the Men Are From Mars, the classic books that help to address this issue. So we'll start with things that may sound like cliches, but it's because they're so important. To find the right person for you, you need to make sure you're not desperate. That's just such an important thing to understand that men are basically turned off by desperate women. And you'll be attracted to the wrong guys. When you're feeling desperate, there's like a little radar that we have. Some people who find the right person, they have a radar that attracts the right person and gets involved with them. And our radar goes amok when we're feeling desperate. So that's a really key thing. It's like some people have a golden thumb when it comes to investments. Other people, they just get all excited about the wrong investment. So they don't have the right radar when it comes to investments. And a relationship is a bit like an investment. You're going to put time and energy into it and so forth. So what's the right investment? If you're coming from a place of desperation, neediness, you'll often pick the wrong person. That's one thing. If you're got a big list of things, and I have, everybody says, write out the list of the things that are most important to you. What I would add to that list is, how it would make you feel. Because ultimately you want to be with a man that makes you feel the way you want to feel with a man. That should be your guide, not what your eyes tell you, not what you hear, so to speak, but it's when you're seeing and hearing and interacting, how do you feel inside? That's really, really key. When we dissect that, if you're a woman and you feel sexually turned on right away to a man, it's the wrong man. Done. I know that's bizarre for many women, but if you're sexually turned on to a man, basically you're trying to please him more than he pleases you.
Say a little more about why, because I know so many of us, myself included, back when I was single, we are really attracted to that intense chemistry like a moth to a flame.
That's right. Everybody loves it. It's the goal of a great relationship. And when that intensity goes away, we won't get to that in this talk, that's how to keep the passion alive. We'll do it a little bit because many women who are single, they hook up with some guy and then they're having sex and then the interest is like boring and flat and then they break up. And so the part of, if you're a single person is, if you have attraction for somebody, how to sustain the attraction. So the idea of women is there's a wiring that we have inside. And to simplify that wiring of attraction, there's 4 levels of attraction. There's a mental attraction where I find you interesting, it's curious, I'm drawn, I want to get to know you better. I wonder how you think about this. I wonder what you would do in this situation. I wonder what's going to happen with this relationship. There's a curiosity and interest. That's attraction. I kind of a sense of admiration for somebody or openness to see what are their gifts and talents and strengths. Okay. Now, not everybody you're going to have that with. That's called mental attraction. Okay. It could also be a guy could be talking, you find that fascinating and interesting and so forth. That's the mind. Okay, so that's one level. Then there's the heart attraction, which is I feel affection, I feel warmth, I really like this guy, have fun with this guy, I feel safe with this guy, I enjoy his presence, and maybe you feel I love this guy. That's affection. And that's in the heart connection. Okay, so then there's sexual connection, which is I fantasize having sex with this guy. I want to connect with this guy. I'm turned on by this guy. I feel this excitement and below the waist with this guy. You heat up with this guy. You flow with this guy. And that's, you're living a kind of a routine life and you kind of go, wow, that's like fantastic. Well, that's the equivalent of a guy who's can't get a girl and he goes online and he watches porn. Man, porn feels so good. It just like it's heroin, and you can feel it in the brain. It's heroin. And what porn is for a guy and for some women, it's non-relational sex. Ironically, non-relational sex will always be more intense than real sex.
Really?
Now that's people kind of go, well, was that a letdown? I mean, no, my sex is fantastic with my wife. But if I was to have porn, I wrote a book on porn, so I had to explore it. And I went, whoa, this is really intense. But it's like I can also take heroin. I can also take cocaine. I can also, there's also ayahuasca and other drugs you can do, which are beyond intensity. Okay, they're just like huge. So drugs can take you to an altered state. But always when you go way up, you'll go way down. And so if you have this high intensity more than the healthy intensity, which is fantastic, but healthy intensity becomes less intense if we become dependent upon high intense. Cocaine changes the brain. Getting turned on to some guy that you don't know is the same as a guy getting turned on to pornography. It's intense and it's not real. So if you're actually physically turned on to a man and you don't know him and he hasn't earned the right to be with you by earning your love and he's also interesting to you, it's usually the wrong guy. Because when a woman is not feeling desperate, okay, if she has high self-esteem and she's at peace, she's not needy, like, oh my God, if I can't find a guy, why can't I find a guy? The guys I want are never the right guys and all that. Will I ever get a guy? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with men? Should I do it alone? Any of that kind of neediness like that. Then what's happening is you're going to be desperate. And the desperate, you may not even feel desperate, but there's an eagerness to please. And to earn a man's love. You should never earn a man's love. When you earn something, the hormone testosterone gets produced, and that's the hormone that makes men bond with women. So when a man earns your love, his testosterone goes up and he bonds with you. He becomes more interested in you. He can grow in his interest with you. He can sustain connection, and you bring out the best in him. Men have 10 to 20 times more testosterone than women. And we only bond when a woman makes our testosterone surge. And if you're trying to please me, then my testosterone goes down. Okay, my estrogen goes up. That's why women like when men are doing things for you, opening the door, planning a date, putting forth effort to create a situation where you're feeling safe, comfortable, happy, and pleased. Literally, it's the man's job to provide happiness for the woman, to provide support for the woman. It's the woman's job is to, in a sense, guide him to provide that support. And that's an art. But to feel supported. That's the ultimate for man, is when a man feels like I have impressed her. She's happy to be around me. I make a difference in her life. That's a real key thing. That's success. Men need to feel successful, and women need to feel that he's there for me and that he cares about me and he understands me and he honors me and he respects me and I feel safe in his presence. These are the things you want from a man. And it's being clear about that, because it's so, when women are out of balance and they're feeling alone and they've been alone for a while, unfortunately what happens is the hormone testosterone increases in their body. They become more independent you are, the more autonomous you are, the more your male qualities increase. and that decreases your ability to appreciate the male. Okay, you can only appreciate others when your estrogen's going up. And so you as a woman, this is where you get in some of the biology of this, is you need to practice things that would allow your estrogen to go up. Now that's a big story, and I've written a whole big book on the hormones and so forth. And I know we want to stick to some basic dating insights, and I'm going to jump into one here, which is if you're giving more to a man than receiving from him, then his estrogen's going up and he's not going to bond with you. So there's a dynamic of he does things for you and your job is to appreciate that. Now, the big mistake women make is it's almost to the degree a woman is desperate and needy, the higher her expectations are. And that makes you more desperate and needy, because when you have high expectations, the range of the right men become less and less and less.
Right.
So your capacity to not be needy and feel the estrogen rising up gets weaker and weaker. So here's the practical tip. Start today lowering your expectations. Do not look for the ideal man. Do not look for your soulmate. Do not look for your marriage mate. Look to have a fun time, whatever that would mean for you. Okay. And you have to find what will create a fun time. So you're going to just say, okay, a man with a magical power told me I'm not going to meet my soulmate for a year from now. But in the meantime, I need to practice all my skills for recognizing and enjoying and sustaining the relationship of my dreams with my soulmate. But it's not going to happen for a year. So forget about that. And what's the homework to do? The homework is to be busy practicing relationship skills with men, testing, trying, practicing, and creating a series of positive dating experiences. That's the key. It's up to you to create a series of positive dating experiences. If you're looking for your soulmate and you have this neediness inside, your hormones are out of balance, and you're looking for your soulmate, you will always be disappointed if you haven't found your soulmate. So you'll create a series of disappointing experiences. And my point to you is that if you're coming from a place of neediness, you won't recognize your soulmate anyway. He has to earn that before you recognize your soulmate. Love at first sight. Okay, here's what love at first sight is. If it's accurate, if it possibly is the right guy, you probably will not feel sexual attraction right away. When you're with the right person for you and you're not coming from neediness, then what will happen is your first attraction will not be sexual. It will be interest. It will be mental attraction. You'll be right where you are in your head. And you go, oh, I find him fascinating. I love talking with him. I love sharing with him. Then you'll start to feel safe with him. And then he'll do things for you, and you'll start to feel a bond with him because he did something and you felt good. I'll give you a little example. I was a friend. I have a bunch of male friends, and we were having dinner together. And one of my male friends just had this crazy emotional overreaction to something I said. I was talking about some supplements and that they found were some nutritional discovery that was helping people with cancer. And he just blew up and I don't want to hear about that. And that's terrible. And I have a relative who went natural and she didn't take chemotherapy and she died of cancer. I can't take that anymore. Don't say that. It was just totally threw it all over me. And everybody went, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then some guy said to me, don't you need to clear that with him? And I basically just said, no, I don't need to talk about it. He'll just get more defensive and justify it. Just recognize he's having a bad day. Okay, he's just having a bad day. I don't need to say much about it. But inside, I was feeling like, well, maybe I don't want to be friends with that guy anymore. Well, I created a space for him to not feel judged or blamed by me, which is this important message for women. Never feel blame or judge men. No woman doesn't want to be blamed or judged. Men don't want to be blamed and judged. That's not loving. So I just said, give it some time. And then what he did is he invited me to dinner. And I went, okay, I'll go. But, and then he made this whole dinner for me. And I suddenly he's my best friend again. My female side bonded with him. My emotional side let go and bonded because he did something for me. And he had the wisdom to feel bad about something and make it up to me by doing something nice. And then he did something nice for me. And my female side went, oh, okay, I love him again. He's a good buddy and he's good. So the key there is we have a male and female side. And for women to realize today, and you're independent, you're more on your male side, men can't bond with you when you're on your male side. They can only bond with your female side, which says, I'm open to receiving your support and your help, and I need your help and support, but I'm not needy.